Okay, good evening everyone for you. And it is a great opportunity for all of us. It's a great merit, each one of us, that we are receiving teaching from our most venerable Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, and on the precious sutra, the Śālistambasutra, or the Seedling Sutra. And as I said earlier, towards the end, after dedicating the virtues that's gathered from the two-day teaching, we are all going to have the opportunity to have the opportunity for us to offer scarves and to receive the rosary from the Most Venerable Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche as part of the blessing and the souvenir for us to remember the content matters of the subject matter of the arya Śālistambasutra. And so this is what we're going to do. So with in mind, again, setting proper motivation. With this, we'll turn to the booklet distributed to you, page 1. And setting proper motivation, 3 points. One is refuge field. Visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, who taught this, the sutra on dependent origination, and arya Maitreya and Shariputra, and all the enlightened beings in front of you who become the source of compassion, inspiration for you to cultivate compassion, for you to cultivate the wisdom of emptiness. And alongside this visualization, visualize your two parents and all the family members around you. The whole purpose, the whole point is that we are getting the opportunity, but the 7 billion human beings, they do not get this opportunity to receive this teaching. So why not we visualize all of them, including your two parents, all the family members, and all the sentient beings around you. Imagine that we are all receiving, all sentient beings, headed by you, are receiving teachings from our teacher, Venerable Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, on this precious sutra, Śālistambasutra. And the purpose of this practice, as rightly indicated in the Śālistambasutra, is to activate this seed of perfection within each one of us, no matter who we are, however mentally defiled we think we are, however weak we think we are. In actuality, the treasure within us by no means is inferior to the treasure of enlightenment, which all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are endowed with. So the point is, the treasure of this awakening, the treasure of this ultimate happiness, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have, they're in the form of manifest form, whereas in our case, it is the hidden. So therefore, it is known as the Buddha nature. It is not really the Buddhahood as such. So our job is, by listening to this teaching, precious teaching from a most venerable teacher, and then see how much we can, after studying, see how much we can subject this to reflection, and then put them to meditation, and then see what degree of transformation is taking place with ourselves, and that finally all the mental defilements are gone, removed, and the gold inside each one of us becomes manifest. So okay, so that being the purpose, let us say the praise together from page 1. And to inspire great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And to inspire great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. And to inspire great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. The next page. Sangye juda zoge jonam da chanju bardu dane gyapsu che dage jinzo gebe tsonam ge tola benjire sangye jubara jo sangye juda zoge jonam da chanju bardu dane gyapsu che dage jinzo gebe tsonam ge tola Penjere Sangye Rubarayisho Sangye Choda Tsoge Chonam Chanjo Bardo Dane Gyatso Che Dage Jinso Kebe Sonamge Toba Penjere Sangye Rubarayisho. I'll go for refuge and turn the Latin to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations for practice of giving and so forth. I go for refuge and turn the Latin to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations for the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn the Latin to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations for the practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing or rising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is freedom of elaborations. Okay, the next page, page 4. As we recite this mantra is also referred to as the essence of the dependent origination mantra, and the text which we are learning, being taught by our most venerable teacher, is the sutra on dependent origination, the Śālistambasutra, Sutra on dependent origination. So keep in mind, the whole purpose is to awaken this true nature of the seed of perfection within each one of us, and that too by understanding that all the miseries which we dislike, which we like to shun, they don't arise randomly. Instead, they arise from their respective causes. Now, what these causes are, is indicated by the Buddha, and then see how to exterminate or how to bring the end to these causes is also indicated by the great seer, the Buddha. So knowing this, let's see that the teaching that we're going to receive on this basis, how we're going to identify the cause of the suffering, how we're going to apply the remedies to overcome the cause of the suffering. Okay, with that in mind, so that is all encompassed within this the mantra. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham jayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham jayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham jayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. All phenomena arise from causes taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration, free, clear-minded, and non-composite. Such as the nectar that Dharma I've discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I'll return to the words. Beyond utterance, thought, and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unsees, and has the initial space. Is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times are pure obeisance. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are the nature of suffering. All phenomena are of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is nirvana. Okay, let's turn to the next page, page 6. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries glow. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to yourself, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, so this teaching whole, everything is being summarized in the Heart Sutra mantra. We'll say this Heart Sutra mantra 7 times together. While reciting this, just visualize all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas there, and your true parents, and all the sentient beings with you, and imagine that no matter what your relationship is with other beings, it is all because of the ignorance, as can well be understood from this sutra, that ignorance is caused. The had it been the case that all other beings who we consider as the enemies, if the ignorance is not there within them, they will be, no doubt, they will just embrace us with so much love and affection. The fact that they are not doing this, instead they're being so nasty, is all because of the ignorance. It's not actually this is all because of the ignorance. Had it been the case that we are in the same situation, we also behave in this way with so much of love and affection, kindness, compassion towards them, that they are under the sway of this ignorance. Deep inside them, there's the seed of the free-flowing compassion, free-flowing bodhicitta. So that needs to awaken, and see yourself as the inspiration to all dear sentient beings to follow this path of purity, to follow this path of awakening from the darkness to the ultimate, the light. Teyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhiswaha Teyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhiswaha Dhyata 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 Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhiswaha. Okay, since today is the second and the conclusion the day, the most venerable Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche will make the point that the whole gist of this sutra is going to be given to us, not necessarily going through the word, and let us make it a point not to miss the points, which in fact, from my personal the awareness that our teacher is exceptionally very close to this sutra. I remember since many years ago, in fact, there are a number of commentaries by himself on the sutra and the concept of emptiness and concept of dependent origination. So let us not miss this opportunity to listen to the essence, the gist of what we're going to get from our teacher pertaining to this sutra. No.
No, so. Oh, yeah. Oh, Sinjana Tawaband, the Synergy Pemberton, Nazonda Madonna, Lada Me, Kova, Sutra, thank you, but there's a bash in the Thomas. They are Julie Milusa Mayamba. Do you tend to ya? Chadana so when you Maluba Bade, Tabe combat to nearly tend to Tabe Tawa Tobacha. They are Rachibu Mayamba, Hamadu Sinja Tamja, Koya Domele Tarwachi Chaku Tag. Digital. You say the day could get the Sunday to come and see the Tobacha. Digital Teto, the Taman, and the Kumucha, you descend, send the connection of shoes or do this.
First, prostration to the Buddha Shakyamuni for having taught the concept of dependent origination in order to eliminate the darkness of ignorance which binds the beings in samsara. So this is a decision, and then the motivation required for us to listen to this teaching should be, say, in the following stages. The first, with aspiration, with the feeling of such a joy and rejoicing over having attained this precious human birth, the favorable state, favorable birth, and then on that basis, to make a commitment to engage in the virtuous actions, refrain from the non-virtuous actions, to attain the same, the precious birth the next time, and then not only to achieve the precious birth, but also to work on, by using this precious birth, to see how much we can work on to eradicate the mental defilements such as attachment, aversion, and the ignorance and so forth. In other words, to how to get rid of the afflictions. And then so this will lead us to a state of total freedom from the suffering altogether. And having this as the ground, see how much we can then practice the extent this feeling of sentiment towards all the demon sentient beings, all sentient beings, and with a very pure heart to desiring to achieve the state of Buddhahood, which is endowed with all the perfect qualities and be freed from all the defilements or the defects. And so this aspiration, the bodhicitta, the aspiration to become Buddha for the sentient beings, so that should be the bodhicitta. And with that in mind, with that aspiration, let us listen to the teaching.
Yes. Oh, that's Sunday, Sunday Jambar Sin. She tension never joined to the Cheton, she tension never joined to the Chi Nukin there. So that is the chalice of what to do. To the camera tension never joined. She tension. Now the tension never joined, so not as summer. Now, Nyambernazi. And each child on the Numuti, on the lake, it is sun. Me and do that tend to quack or teacher. The need some fun.
Yes. So as we read yesterday, that from the sutra, that the Buddha Shakyamuni at one point, he was along with the disciples, he was just passing by a rice field. And there the Buddha stopped and pointing to the rice field, the Buddha said that whoever sees dependent origination will see the dharma. Whoever sees the dharma will see the Buddha. So there, as to what constitutes dependent origination, we learned that it is to be understood in two contexts. which is external dependent origination, or in other words, dependent origination of the external world and the dependent origination of the internal world of the sentience. External world constituting of the physical form, sounds, and so forth, how the world comes into being by dependent origination, and the internal world consisting of the ourselves as beings, the initially triggered with a sense of I, then this in turn leads us to engage in the negative thoughts such as attachment, aversion, so forth, and then this then leads us to engage in negative karmas, and then all forms of the states of birth, such as the favorable births, then the unfavorable births, and so forth, they come into being. This is how the internal world of the sentience, they come into being by dependent origination.
Because Chita Nanga Mosama Tanjete, good again, Danny, called Lubutia, only the Mitavasha. Geshe can do it again, Mitava. No, then it Damevasha, Mitavasha, and down. Nanga Tendri Samatana, Dada Sosa Samatana, Geshe can do it with Mitavata. And she teva Sajari Teva to Simbina, they and doing the court to me, Ran should be good, to me, Ran Shichanda. And it bombas, Ta Johnny Tart to send it bombas. No time about round good again, the danger round, but coaching John, round I change the touch of Gumaris, Tamebashe, or Tezuya, danger devil John, I was Samatana. Midabada Tungio the Tameva, the Zuloria Chatugordo. When you think of the dependent origination of the external world and the internal world of sentience, say how the external world comes into being by dependence on cause and conditions, we see that it is simply through coming together of the causes and conditions that then the phenomena, some objects, they come into existence. So from this we see that it's through the constant flux of change, of course, and conditions give us results. So that tells us the reality of the impermanence, how it is through the change of the cause and conditions that give rise to the states, or the higher states, or the undesirable states. So that gives an understanding of the impermanence. And then if we look at the self, ourselves, we see that we undergo a constant change. And then within this change, we see that experience happens, for example, experience of pleasure, happiness we go through, even that is not really lasting, it eventually changes into suffering. So from this we not only see that things are of the impermanent nature, it also leads us to an understanding that things are of suffering nature. However happy we are, it eventually ends into suffering. Then the number 3 is that because it is that the self comes into being by dependence on the conglomeration of the causes and conditions, that the self is not independent, it is by dependence. So independence is rejected. There comes to the understanding of the selflessness in the context of emptiness or independence. So, if you understand dependent origination, this will invariably, so efficaciously take us to the understanding of the impermanence, suffering, and the selflessness. And then alongside, we see that through understanding dependent origination, then the viewing that the self is so pure, so clean, that can be seen as the faulty, because we see that what is the self is nothing but nothing beyond our aggregates, the body and the mind. And our body and mind, both we see that moment we see that they are defiled, and because of which the self by no means it is pure, although we see the self to be so pure that is empty of being pure. So this leads us to the true understanding dependent origination. We understand the impermanence, we understand suffering, we understanding the self to be empty of being
absolute pure, and finally the selflessness or the emptiness of the independent existence.
No, they do so that. Medabare Siduta Divericina, Nini to Divericina, Longe Sabaticina, Sumbucente in a Sumbucina. What is some tangentical Tarinjibi Chichere, sitting on the Soa de Leco Yodoa. What is a carpenter Sena? Oh, then Suzini do la so Piso when do the Yuna. Do but in Medabare. 나도 이제 대용마를 가가가도에서 소다 디베타마 자와시 디베타마 시와서 사바고지 타제시샤라 오 디르자 코 가르 랍젤랭 거르시나 오 디르다 테지랭가 텔이야 야부체체 남미나다 수이나다 지비치는 내가 마셔세 미기바 마셔세 야부체 대고레서라 Because color do it ranging the so I can do send the share your maris. They do that I was a table. Nida was some time to Tissadua. Kana chew Yamsamba, Kana Niba Yukiva, then Jiba on the Chidana colleges. Show me that what the Tali where Sambina, Namdu Tedu, Tiba Kiva to be done, Nampanji Tambucha Tel Pagioda. What it and then some Taba Corena. The weapon that gave out to be that Tezula Pengiodo. Mitapa Samutani, near Tumia Samutani, Quacola Samutani, Tumia Samutani, Loa. Tumia Samutani, Samitona de Chita. Nagia the Cameron, Samitona de Chokasera. San Tumia than go at myself says. Quabala Ninjikis, Shadatina Shiri, some Ninjia. Kelakashi Tilansums, and it came out to Yelaka, Tibulanzima. Oh, Tibuko, she called today Nambin and Messity Abuji Kerena, a question that Kana Jigimare, sure and Jigimare Suda, or teaching some language.
A reflection in permanence is of incredibly great benefit. Gathering, coming together of things invariably ends into a separation, and the collection of the wealth it ends with exhaustion, and this being alive ends in the termination of the life. So this is the reality of impermanence. The more we reflect on impermanence, the benefit is that while we are together, for example, as a family, we will see the value of being together, that we are together for how long. The things are impermanent, so we are not sure as to how long we will get the opportunity to be with each other, to be together with each other. So then we will treasure the togetherness or the being together, and then harmony will be. Harmony will happen, and then with this the feeling of the impermanence, and likewise the reflection on the suffering nature of ourselves they have tremendous benefit. One in terms of refraining from negativities, knowing that all these experiences of pain, what the impermanence strikes us, and we end up in suffering. So these suffering are all because of the non-virtuous karmas, non-virtuous thoughts. So by feeling the pain, feeling the pain of the suffering, then we feel like getting away from the negativities, refraining from the negativities, one. And then we also tend to feel the joy over engaging in virtues. Then by seeing that you are really inflicted by so much of pain, a sense of arrogance, sense of conceit is bound to be mitigated. And above all, the knowing that all of us share the same sentiment, share the same state, will being so supportive of each other, being very harmonious towards each other. So these are all the benefit. And then if you reflect on the impermanence and the suffering nature of ourselves so well, on a daily basis, consistently, then you get such a confidence that you're not afraid of death at all. Even if death were to strike you, but you see that this is the law of the nature. Inevitably, that all what comes into existence, all what comes into, say, arising, should necessarily come to end. So what is a great deal of this? So the sense of the fear of death will all terminate because of this reflection of impermanence and the suffering on a daily basis.
No, didn't Tiene Geshe Rawan Meva and Dumia Geva now actually. Oh, today Medabata, Lenu Shawanche, Dumia Silia, around Tachi. Shawan Manga, round Tachi, young to the Omares, Tame Padungua. Then so good as in a co to that king at the Todate, Pamia Kudala, so what the director to be orders. The team is in a Sahina, some lady, Chibati Matashi, Kashi Louis Samada, Kashi Lumisa, today or Mare Sogua. Oh, Tico, Kuchibari, Kashi Titi Kamsuliki, Pamaliki, Metoliki, Kashi Nene, to the Maris Kaga, Kuchibari, so we Kuchibari, Kisachibari. Tico, Pungu Misahina, Kanga Misachibari. Pungu Misachilia. Some this at my shooting is so some dash it and Missa dash in Lamares. Pumbu the Missa in a danderating, the some of the Missa Lamares or the Induca soda. Some that change the Tombas, or not the some Shibuchi, Shenda did so what is some sort, the daddy or Maris Tombares, not a resoda. Oh, Tination around the Tade on the Tane Vas. Oh, Tizutanga, Vegetable Danny, some Tico Yara. Tico and so the child on the Nimokedan, Joado Yordo. What is one?
If you take ourselves, the self, yourself, we see that we are nothing but constitute. How we come into being is by the causal factors of afflictions and the contaminant karmas, and because of which then the consequences in terms of birth, sickness, aging, and so forth arise. So by depends on these causes of the afflictions and the contaminant karmas, these resultant states of sickness, aging, birth, and so forth give rise to indicates the impermanence. And then on top of that, we see that that we are dependent on all these factors. The independence of the self has been rejected. So this will lead us to understand that by no means the self, which I identify myself as the person, so that is something in lacking independence. And for example, if you look at a body, pertaining to the third seal, where the Buddha said that everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness. So there's a little difference between the two. Emptiness, what constitutes emptiness, what constitutes selflessness. So there, pertaining to emptiness is to be understood as the empty of being pure. The self being empty of the self, empty of being pure. So what does it mean by self being empty of being pure? So oftentimes people have a misconception that okay, we are a very special people. We are from a special caste, and others are low caste, others are impure, we are very pure. The reality is that we are nothing, but we come into existence only by dependence on our aggregates, and the aggregates such as the body, for example. The body that we have, we see that the body, if we really explore, if we really probe into this body, we see that the body is so impure. So the fact that the aggregated body is impure means we are impure. And this is a total misconception that we have an innate feeling that I'm pure and others are impure. So this misconception actually drives us into suffering. So as the reality is that everyone, as long as we come into existence by dependence on the contaminated aggregates, contaminated, impure physical body. No one is pure as long as you are constituted of the impure the aggregate of the physical form. So this tells us that okay, by no means I should be conceited. I should feel conceit. I should have a sense of the arrogance that I'm pure, I'm very special, my tribe is very special, my caste is very special. So this is a total misconception, this is an illusion, because that as long as we are constituted of a dirty body, we are dirty, we are impure. This is reality. And everybody, as long as whoever the person is, if considered the dirty, impure body, the person's the impure. So this is the fallacy, seeing the self as pure while the aggregates are impure. And then the third seal, when it says everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness, this emptiness connotes the empty of being pure, and the selflessness is the selflessness in the context of the being empty of independence. So there, knowing that the self comes into being but depends on all these factors like the aggregates, like the causal factors of the afflictions, contaminant karmas and so forth, we see that we are not at all independent. We just come into existence by dependence on many of the factors. So knowing this, we come to see the selflessness in the context of the emptiness of independent existence. And so this is the benefit of reflecting on dependent origination.
Oh yeah. All that goes so that. Tension developed Julia, Tandanajo, the Yalachuni, Quanaqua, Kushia, Luxun Sira, Quacorda, Crisco, Stitch Shatara. The Kuala do condition dog with a sender, or did understand that she, Midakwana, Dungyawada, Tonga, Dameva. So the Na, Sansa, Rawena, you have a symbol Tene. And Nancy K. Chagdangi Kagayogora, Sansa, the neighbor Tomba, Tameva, Yabu Combina, without Donaton, Damila, Soba Combina, and Tommy Mariba, the now, Yamana Rawachi, Shane, Shane Rawachi. You don't know the Tadan Soba Rawachi to get some to your mother. Part of this uncle Tadan the Chicago. Ramoni over the tongue at this shield dwellers. Don't do it, some Shagora. Teachers on it. Tanga, so now the Margeta, Shella Town, so what Chagda, the Yamuto chose to Yora. Or did the 10 garbage with the Soto, Dinema, Bashibat and John Jurosera, Teacheria, Cavaleso. Tada to make from Bashibat and Gaba, and John Jurosera, Jordan de Cesara. Tatela Mariba Gaba and Dujiga said, Mariba the Dameba Conde, Mariba the Nao Nyambe Rawe, Nanziba, Nao Nyambo Nadia, Cesagana, Tidena Chimeva Soba, or today the Comsona, and Nanzidi Chodura. Then Nanzi Chodona Chada di Yodura. Chada Yodona Chada go on the Kitty Lassa di Yodura, and even Duchi Lagash, or Tene. Subanam Shilia leg in the Vashane, Kiwa Nuclear to the Pangane, Tartan Tamjele, go but the top to rest, garbage and better Songua. Najidagi Dombanashi, Shunam Tamse Gule Chungsera, Nujikin Jidin Koan de Sama, Gule Tenchores. The Gugaresene, Numongan Zida, Tewangachune Chaldam Musumderes, the judicial persons. Gula Goba Kayamba said that Gudin Ghana, Gudan get the joiner, Gudin Ghana, and David Gaya Tashara, or Gulan Zidin Gaya Karesena, and the dime about it. Digitations, Gulan Goba Kama, then Goba Shebe, Tamitoba, Metaba, Tumia Toba to share. Take Combatant, Gaba and Gaba, Tabashe. Gulan Goba Kayam, because you should be taking song said that Tembashi on Sanutanda didn't go teach function.
Yesterday we were on page 8. Dependent origination in the context of the 12 links of dependent origination. Page 8, line 1, it says, okay, page 7, the last line. Page 7, the last line, which reads, well, the phrase dependent arising or dependent origination means that because this exists, that exists, because this is produced, that is produced. So here, this stanza, this paragraph is explaining as what constitutes dependent origination. So dependent origination, we need to know that dependent origination is taught in two ways, taught by the Buddha in two ways. One in the form of say evolutionary, in the form of evolutionary process, and the other in the form of the cessation, in the process of the ceasing. In the process of seizing the dependent origination, the seizing of the dependent origination, and the evolutionary form of the dependent origination. So one in the form of the evolution is how by giving rise to ignorance, the 12 links, ignorance, it gives rise to the formation or the karmas. Number 2, by karma, how it gives rise to the consciousness. Number 3, and there's then the 12 links are giving rise to the one by one. So this ignorance, which we learned yesterday very clearly, the misconceiving the self to be independently real, self-grasping ignorance. As long as we have this sense of self-grasping ignorance, then we tend to have attachment to the self, we tend to have the aversion towards others. So this sense of attachment, aversion, will give, which constitute afflictions, give rise to contaminated karmas. And the contaminated karmas will invariably give rise to the suffering. So this paragraph, which ends by saying that appropriation causes becoming causes birth, and the birth causes aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, suffering, despair, and bewilderment. Thus this entire great heap of suffering arise. So this is how the suffering is evolved. On the basis of the ignorance, studying the dependent origination of the evolution of the suffering. Now the next stanza is the dependent origination, and knowing the dependent origination in the context of seizing the affliction, seizing the suffering. So it says, when ignorance ceases, formation ceases. When the formation ceases, consciousness ceases. When consciousness ceases, so this goes on like this, the ceasing of the 12 links of dependent origination. So how does it, given that the suffering, they come into being, but depends on the contaminated karmas, which in turn arise from the afflictions, which in turn arise from the ignorance. Now, if we are to stop their suffering, we have to stop the contaminated karmas. To stop the contaminated karmas, we have to stop the afflictions. To stop the afflictions, we have to stop the ignorance. So how to stop the ignorance? Ignorance, knowing that ignorance is the mind, the misperception, which views things in a distorted way. The viewing the self to be independent real, and then the still can be very much grosser. While the self is impermanent, we view the self as permanent. This is one ignorance. While the self is of the suffering nature, we see the self as of the happy nature, pleasurable nature. Number two, and while the self is of the empty nature, not being pure, we see the self as so pure. And while the self is the empty of independent entity, we see the self as of independent nature. So these are the four levels of the misconceptions and the ignorance, and we have to exterminate these four the levels of ignorance by introducing the counterforces, by the counterforce in the form of the wisdom to see the impermanent nature, self to be impermanent, wisdom to see the self to be of suffering nature, the self to be of impure nature, and the self to be of the selfless nature, meaning the self to be empty of independent nature. So this is the wisdom. Once we cultivate this wisdom, then invariably the afflictions will be mitigated, afflictions will be undermined, and afflictions such as attachment, aversion, so forth will come to an end, and because of which the contaminated karmas, then the destructive actions will not happen, and then this leads to the cessation of your suffering. So it is for this reason that the mantra, when we recited ye dharma hetu prabhava hetum desham tathagato hyavata desham jayu niruddha evam vadima shanmanaso, page 4, when we recite the mantra, when it says ye dharma hetu, om ye dharma hetu prabhava, means these phenomena, they arise from the causes, the suffering, the phenomenon of suffering do not arise the causelessly randomly, they arise from the causes. So what are these causes? Hetum Tesham Tathagata Hyavata. These causes are indicated by the Tathagata, the Buddha, these causes. So what are the causes which the Buddha identified as the cause of suffering in the form of contaminated karmas, afflictions, and the four levels of the ignorance? So how to bring an end to these causes? Tesham Jayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mashramana. So the cessation of those causes as well is taught by the great seer. So how does the great seer, the Buddha, how did he teach? In what way he taught to bring an end to the cause of this suffering is by introducing the life of the wisdom, the four kinds of wisdom, the wisdom to know the self as impermanent nature, suffering nature, impure nature, and the selflessness in the context of the emptiness of independent existence. So this is how we understand the Four Noble Truths, and we know how to bring an end to the suffering, understand dependent origination in order to bring an end to the suffering.
Kolur to round Mevan Chuan Chixera, then do shit in this. This on the Kumida Wada, and it's in Gurachen, Yard and Julia Tonghada, the Zungurta. Then you go Chasha Mambucha, then called Tuasonda, Mavokora the Chama, which I skipped. Kambarina, the Suvina, the Daina, the Taina, the Kamba. Chama, which is then Chasha and Daxi. Dakshida, Dojig, Tanyegi, and go to Domri Gavja Dichi in Spalo Tagliora. Dakshida and Dojil turned to Bas. Denji devils to the king tennis on a tender. And then Dakshida and Dojil turned to the tender senior Sumda, teaching function. Oh, do you do some Medavada? Tomia was at it, Raul never said it. Dakshidan Dojil to the one showers. Round was it in a chain near which you are Marista but in good.
Dependent origination, which is the essence of this sutra, should be understood on two levels. One is the dependent origination of the composite phenomena, meaning that what we learned thus far is how the composite phenomena, how they come into being by dependence on the cause and conditions. So this constitutes the dependent origination of the composite phenomena. The other one is where things come into being by dependence on the parts. Something as a whole, for example, like a house, or the physical form, or the sound, or the self. We see that any of these things should necessarily come into being by the combination combination of various parts, and also known as by the combination of various bases of designation, meaning the parts which serve as the base of designation, and then but depends on the parts, and depends on the designating mind. Parts as the base of designation and the designated mind by depends on these two things, then the phenomenon things come to being. This is known as the dependent origination of dependence on the base of designation and the designator. Then, if you could remember how this sutra began, where the Buddha said that whoever sees dependent origination will say the dharma. So now the first part, dependent origination, is already explained. Then the next part is if you see dependent origination, you will see the dharma. What does it mean by dharma in this context? In the context of seeing dharma after seeing dependent origination. So this is what we see on the third paragraph, page 8, which reads, what is the dharma? So this dharma is in the context of the dharma which you are to see after having seen dependent origination. Whoever sees dependent origination will see the dharma. So here it says, what is the dharma? Dharma is the eightfold path of the noble ones, eightfold noble paths. Eightfold noble paths, and the eightfold noble paths constituting right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
Okay. Well, that didn't the car show there. Now, we don't have a tower seat. Oh, you have a tower city, Carasina. Garato, Messi di Cangiare, di Tarsona, Kawashima Gracie or Mare. And the lake Kawasta, Tiguasana, Mohobaria, Debutawada, Tungi, said your Mare. Manichia, Yamotopa, Shishi Nipa, Yamosa, Tagbada. Oh, today. Your Mare, somebody like you, so I never thought in a Lotara. Or to the membership, that I never thought there, and the young dog with Tower Silva. Did you? Here,
identifying the eightfold noble path, which we understood constitutes the dharma in the context of somebody seeing dependent origination will see dharma. So there, the first of the eight noble path and the eightfold noble paths is the right view. So right view here has many connotations. For example, let's say that somebody has a wrong view. As opposed to the right view, the wrong view. Wrong view such as that the rebirth doesn't exist. Somebody disbelieving in the concept of rebirth. Then number two is, say, the disbelieving in the efficacy of the cause of a relationship. That if you do good things, only good results come into being. If you do bad things, bad results will come into being. So where somebody does not believe in this efficacy of the cause of the efficacy of the cause of a relationship, and then on top of that, the people not believing in the possibility for bringing an end to the afflictive emotions, that the attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth, these afflictive, the emotions, the reality is that they can be brought to an end, but people don't believe. When somebody doesn't believe in this, one is having a wrong view. So, so anyone having these misconceptions, that person is said to have the wrong view. So now, in order to have the right view, we need to get rid of these wrong views.
다음에 말로 다도 요같이 말 써봐. 어때줄 때는 차단다. 그 개발 요요서 그 친지로 또 와서도 다또 와서. 다 양다에 또 왔다 가르치네. 미다바. 너와 미다바 또. 동이 왔다. 다음에 왔다 와서 어때야? 야 누가서 양다에 또 와서도.
So number 2 is the right thought. Right view is number 1. Number 2 is right thought. Right thought constitutes same thing. To know what the right thought is, we need to know the counter force, which is the mistaken thoughts or mistaken concepts or the conceptualization. Mistaken conceptualizations, as what we learned earlier, the viewing impermanent phenomena to be permanent, viewing the suffering nature as happiness, viewing the impure as pure, and viewing the selfless nature as of selfhood. So these constitute the mistaken views, mistaken reflections, mistaken conceptualizations. Now, the viewing impermanent, suffering, and then the impure is impure, and the selfless nature is selfless nature. These constitute the correct or the right thought or the right conceptualizations.
Chama chichu nakchel sit tanda mebe chadang kiji sheda. Ni shihan la mebe ta rang teba la so rang jo shen jo chadang kiji sheda soba. O te zu ya ko lo be nga se rang shen la mebe che ba so da. O te de ma ba te zu mebe che se. O te ni tembar ma wala so ba ro. Ni shen mebe shen la de teba la so ba o te de she da yang da be nga se da ta tanda nga bi to ne. Rang shen la mebe ri su ke ba te.
The next is the right speech. Right speech constitutes of the among the 10 non-virtuous actions, we have 4 3 physical, 4 verbal non-virtuous actions. 4 verbal non-virtuous actions constituting telling lies, slandering, and then harsh words and idle gossip. These 4, and so these 4 become the defiled speech. So what we need to cultivate is we need to cultivate the right speech, correct right speech or healthy speech. What constitutes healthy speech is a speech where you refrain from these 4 verbal non-virtuous actions. Instead of telling lies, you always try to tell the truth. Instead of slandering, always say something, utter words which will bring harmony and bring friendship amongst the people. And instead of using harsh words, you're saying the tender the words. And then instead of idle gossip, speaking something sensible. So these are the referred to as the right speech.
Yeshe kabada today taas jam theater tawa tata simple ke today in the literature or to the to logbe literature sora or the data tawateliatene legi taas
The next one is the right action. Right action pertains to the actions we do physically. So physically, we need to avoid the 3 non-virtuous physical actions, such as killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. We refrain from these, and we engage in physical actions which do not involve any of these 3 form the right action.
You don't know when the colleague Mexican who are Sudap Chokora, or the Lizard Luna Becone, Shannon Nevada, Mary Ton, Luta Mavi, Shiva Sholon, Sarah Casa, Sarah, Ujiro Chase, Fortune, Yada, Milongo, Tani, Yoneda. That's why I get on the Mexican body. Luma Nive Coneco, round the Shannon Manuvetone, so the Toa, Yagaro Caricigena. Shumbulega Jerishina ko Shumbulega Chisa ko Sudabde Midi Tungi Tinelegiora, Tinashi Kotele Legati, Hasanam the Chichiato. Team members never Shendache, Sudab the Shendache, never Shendache, Lobet Soasada. It's a young double soa, started the Luman corner, so the magic at the Sudabe. Yabuchi number Davash. As a dinner with the chair, Matter Shadow Chicha, Dr. Mabuchi or tender members, number Davash, Message Yabuchi with a soda.
Next is right livelihood. Right livelihood is the advice concerning how to lead a clean, healthy life pertaining to the physical and verbal actions. So pertain to what you do physically, what you do verbally in order to earn a living. In order to earn a living, we should make sure that you do it in such a way that harm is not incurred on others, and not engaging in actions for livelihood in ways of deceit, in ways of cheating others, in ways of bullying others, and so forth, in ways of the tricking others. So, for example, let's say a government official. You get the salary from the government, and then what you do is actually not really doing anything for the government. You do something, the private work. This falls under the wrong livelihood. So, and also the evading tax. So these are all wrong livelihood. So what is advised is that for one's own good, see how to lead a very clean, right livelihood. So that is, make sure that you refrain from any form of physical, verbal, the harms in order to lead a clean life.
Rangshela pranto mi chave ritila yondeng rito zuleko to kone juko batelia yondeng ma jibato ke to da kabuto ne juko batelisiba yanda beso sindu sete
Yes.
ke hala to de ke chao to betone kabuto ne pa juko chenya bayina cheshe bayina kari ne ke kari chibina telia kabuto ne juko bayina an ko chimane ya kone kondo peyate ngorwa.
The next is right effort. Right effort here is the effort that we put in must be towards the meaningful, the meaningful end, and something which is not harmful to other people, the other beings. In other words, whatever effort that you put in must be for the benefit of yourself and for the benefit of others. There must be benefit happening, and such a thing that there's such action that you engage in, the effort that you engage in, must be accompanied with a feeling of joy. So whether you are engaged in the act of teaching, whether you engage in any kind of work, we make sure that there's a sense of joy there, and it's not at all of the harmful nature towards others and towards yourself. It should be something meaningful. Next is the right mindfulness. So mindfulness means to remember things, to remind things. So it can be right mindfulness or it can be wrong mindfulness, reflecting or the recollecting the past bad things, bad relationships, and so forth. these are the wrong recollections or the unhealthy recollections, unhealthy the remembrance. So instead, we should have the right mindfulness or the right remembrance, right recollection of the virtues that you engaged in, engaged in your path, the past. You can remember those the virtues. This is known as the right mindfulness, and pertains to meditation. Say the object of meditation. What are you going to meditate on? We must have a very clear, vivid, the recollection of what you're going to meditate on, and then also pertaining to more precisely with the more precisely of the meditation, such as the calm abiding meditation, shamatha practice. So there, one should be very precisely recollecting the object of meditation to make sure that the meditation becomes the very healthy meditation. For there, the constant recollection of the object is required. That constant recollection is known as the right mindfulness.
Tenda Xixin Payushe, Tembatan Xixin to the Passam Joyashe, and the Tata take to Timudo Tayashe, Tia Kosasoche, London Soda, so what is in Kosote Sasoche Teora, and Miss Lepsona, Miss Levda Hakora, Tembara, Shevra, Xixin Parmesiana, or Lepsons and Luciana Madura, Namza Sasoche Ticare, Tichileps, Gula, Tamba the Xixin.
Next is the right concentration. Concentration is to place the mind on the intended object, intended virtuous object. This is concentration. And the wrong concentration is also there. So, for example, say you had a very bad relationship with somebody else, or say you have some conflict with somebody else, and then your mind, you just deliberately place your mind on those conflicts, on those points of disagreement and so forth. You just let your mind hover around the disputes, the objects of disputes. So this is a wrong concentration. Whereas the right concentration is, say, placing your mind on the particular object which gives rise to benefit to you. For example, say with the meditation again, the meditation has to be cultivated on the basis of the introspection, mindfulness, and then the conscientiousness. So there, for example, the spy, espionage, for example, a spy should have a tremendous degree of the introspection, mindfulness, and the conscientiousness. So there, the introspection will just keep an eye on your enemies, whether or not your enemies are around you. And the moment with introspection, you sense the presence of the movement of the enemies around you. Then with the mindfulness, you make sure that you are on a safe place. So with this, then you don't just ignore the information that you get of the enemies, but you become very the conscious of. There's the conscience there, conscientiousness there within you to make sure that nothing really bad happens to you. So this is how these three things work together to bring a very healthy meditation.
No, that don't go. So some dashi. So the pando yoga da shall pando yoga. So some tangiton the some ta can by shishin pare jinduche. Don't never you get it, and then never to the summer course on seems to know. So similar, so super, or decorated it is something, or didn't go at any other medium song, never you shall some, you shall go at it. Some little judo machines, choosing with some that mess. Didn't them unit on a cherina, and some of them go to you shall do. Down goes the down some time. Timana can't get the children to make the children. This is some that this is some that, and the social media conversation Busudo Charioto. The Yusha, some judo machine as in Razunasi, in Tibet to see your mother set up what she could do with the she some Tadri or dog, or Tindu Casora. Some other town shade or get a shade you can share with that, message you can scare what I say, this year they do what it is function.
Yes. So, in essence, what is being taught here is how to set your mind properly, how to let your mind think properly. Where the great masters, what they said is that if you don't let your mind to think correctly, approach things correctly, you will never ever have the experience of happiness. You will never experience happiness if you don't know how to think properly. So anything we say not building the art or the skillfulness or the skill of thinking properly, then oftentimes what we tend to do is we always think about the negative side. We always think about the negative side, and because of which we are constantly being agitated. So anything that you see the negative side of that, and then the consequence is that we are always unhappy. So somebody who does not know how to think properly will never have the opportunity to experience happiness. So the point is that those things, the moment you think about and the agitation, unnecessary agitation, irritation arises, just ignore these things. Whereas those things, you think more, your happiness comes to you, your mind becomes more calm. These are the areas that we need to think of. These are referred to as the wise people, wise reflections. And the unwise reflections, unwise thinking, just thinking about contemplating, thinking, ruminating over the unnecessary and the particularly which provokes irritation, agitation with you. This is a very unwise way of thinking, will only give rise to pains and agitation, will never give rise to happiness.
Ko yangda me chwa su lega chi gi ne lega cha du ne ko po chi de le yo to te chu de mi so bu chi ya kala sa ora ma to me chi ke to ma to te kan ma do ke ne lega chi ne de ko ke wa re de ora yangda me chwa ke ota ko lega chi la chi le te ne chi lega la sa nam da che che pe de mi le pan do lega khare na chi da pe che na te de ke bar che chi she do Tite mi kanga tension bude si shegdo kamba jaga jo tension bude ko kamba jam na jo te sa de jo shinga ta go jo tension bude na jo kala sa de te jo kanga iko mi kanga le ga che de chi ko ya ji chi zo chi ko ya ji le ba che te lo ra tangi ho do o ti do na ra jo ko le ga ri che de mi chi ko ya chi ga chi zo fa to chi chi lo to ma go chi le chi lo ma do o ti de te ha sa nam da ge Laga be puta mo che number ta sim tag be ko ne o for the pan to the missile pan to the sometimes che ne ko ke wa re to lo ba ne so so message ke na ko ra laga ka ri chi ne te so ba ke wa ju le ni ko lo sam ta ti che wo do ne te chi shi ne shen da fa sha ne ke mi to da ne so ri chu che laga ku che ko kala ya ma de se ta chu te de so ba yo ra o tezuge ko samu tede tamdo na ju zide chi bangaran zide chi bachi no pesen namdi pato tuni chi sa ke cha ami se pe ke chi se yo da o kombi convention de simen songe bala sa so ma o di songe to onge chi do a ta mo pe chi da ge mangu na ju ta chi do a tene ko do kala chi da te mi do a kala ma te si to chi ani me ma bu la ma bu che so bu be ge so te ma bu shi do a tene na zu de le nye de ne su le so a ki shi shi ko ni chang bu ye tene ko ka chi to sti ba ka chi se ma o ko de jam de le ga che sa do so se ko ni ma chi to so se do ni ma chi to ne ko pe le ga ya bu che che ke mi ka da chi so pe mi ya tu che de se do ko pe le ga ku da pa le chi so and Tachiran some tended on Lega Maja de Chumare. In a Mikashi do Akira Hakosa, Chichi Tonsa, Deji do Akala, the Tiabote Meduase, Tiahako Yesa, Sigisa. Segi touches are Yeshe, Kalati Magde, Legan back with the Timashi Gonatos, the Ziriga, Legacy, Cement, Mitchell Pad over us, Conversion, or they are would some Nakalek mother, Jamaica Heritage, Cape Marese. Coaches shares a Medusa, can you say to the Higure that the Mashi Gona collect of the Tigre mother, Nashinda Kemar, coaches shares a Medusa. Semako Tenit and she's a strong sailor. Or didn't she send a number legacy at the Indian Kawajora? Today the legacy of Condu Madonoyas Yomara in a miss sometimes in a tear cook Kawan Jukudua. Some shooting botanics and using the tower Sira at the Jukudua. Tin the Kundamdi Leka Sina. Tico Suda, the Chizos in the Panto Yora. Sinakote. Tintin camera chance to Tanga, Tintin Brace, and other Katikin and Chizos in the Chili, Robachas to the Sitera. So she done just edition of Tibushashana, in Makashi Soto Mado, or the sometimes Lacarina, Geshe in another. So the same name were sometimes. Some of the was done in any communication that Chevatil could join Gura. So Tito and Kidi Lake are going to same department to have the same director. In the same Yakachamba, so I let him get here, like a Lasan of the cinema pencil chamber, because same day, so do have some the cook on the corner pay a lot with the month of the summer.
For example, they say again the advice pertaining to the Eightfold Noble Path. That the same if we are somebody who's an employee. We work for somebody and we earn a salary.
Okay.
So of course we have to earn something. We have to survive with the help of what we earn. And some people may think that okay, the work that I do for my living cannot be virtuous because it's for myself. And this is actually not true. Even the work that you do for somebody in exchange for your salary, even that can be incredibly great virtue, the virtuous. Because we talk about they pertain to the practice of the compassion. There is a practice of compassion, and more precisely, the practice of bodhicitta. There is one step, the step or the method, which is referred to as the special recollection of the kindness of others. A special recollection of the kindness of others. When we talk about that, we see that we reap the benefit of the innumerable beings. For example, we live in a house. House was constructed by so many people, and we survived on food, and the food was grown by so many farmers. So we see that even our survival is heavily dependent on the hands of so many people. So if we reflect on the benefits that we get from these beings, we see how kind they are. This is known as the special recollection of the kindness of others. So likewise, when we do something, even though you are doing this with in exchange for your salary, but what you're doing is eventually is going to be of some benefit to somebody. So which means being with this reflection that okay, what I'm doing is going to be of some benefit to somebody, that itself becomes a virtue. So it can become so how, whether or not the action that you engage in is going to be virtuous or not virtuous is entirely dependent on your thought process, your thinking. So, for example, say the venerable teacher, he could remember one of his classmates known as the venerable monk, the Ami, and he was actually captured by the Chinese. That was back in 1959, around that time, and he was one of his very close friends with whom he had exchange of the knowledge and discussions and so forth on the philosophy. So many of the great scholars were arrested by the common Chinese. They were put to labor camps, and then they were deprived of adequate food, and instead they were being put under the forced to work, labor work so hard. And then after the several years, another friend of our teacher, he happened to come to India, and then our teacher was so curious to know about his friend, Venerable the Ami, and asked him about the situation. So the person who came to India told the Venerable teacher that the Venerable Ami is in a Chinese labor camp, and that in a factory, the cement factory, which is not at all healthy, number one. Number two, they were being deprived of the food, so less the scarce food. And but this Venerable Ami was seen working so tirelessly and so sincerely, working so hard, and to the extent that the Chinese, the common Chinese, the officials, they were so happy about him. And so when the person who came to India, he met a Venerable Ami there and told him that, you know, that so many people are dying now in your prison camp. So many people were dying because of lack of food and being forced to work so hard. And do you know that they are dying, like the many dying? And the Venerable Ami said, yes, I know that. So be careful. You don't have to really work so hard for the Chinese, common Chinese. So eventually they're going to kill you. So he said that, I know that already. The whole purpose for them to keeping us here is eventually to kill us. But the work that I'm doing, I'm not really doing for the Chinese. I'm doing for whoever is going to be benefited out of this work. So I'll do very seriously, and I'll do it wholeheartedly. And then somebody's going to be benefited out of my hard work. Somebody's going to be benefited. So with this, then the other person did not have anything else to say. So what is the message here is that no matter what the work is, even if you are doing this in exchange for salary, but still that work has a tremendous capacity to benefit somebody there. So with this thinking that somebody is going to be benefited, your work, even if you are doing this for your livelihood, it becomes virtuous actions, virtuous karma. So it can become a bodhisattva's practice. So this is what's meant by the special correction comes others. And then they say finally what we do, and verbally what we utter, whether they're going to be virtuous, non-virtuous, all are determined by your thinking. If your thinking is very positive and thinking of, okay, so whatever I do is going to be of some benefit for somebody else, this will guarantee that your physical, verbal actions are going to be positive karmas. So this is how we need to ground all our thought processes on love and the compassion and love and kindness.
Chundenji Churishi Katse to Ose, Tibutu Yonsu Shiberche, Debulana Yobatisha, Tababadora. Tandi Omadege, Yonsu Shiberche, Debulana Mebati Tangdua. Tenji Debajon to the Chuton Chushera, Chuton the Sanji Tongo, Sanji the Shibda. Then the Sanji Chunden de Kashinasre, Chutam Jetusu Sanji Shadese. Palmeshi da Tatunda, Dembashila Soba Landurine, Yumabata Shijeti upon the top. And this is Jatamja, Jambatan Nijila Sovako, Tabde Shiram Nisundun Dawalitane, touching the Kibutero Sanje Sibriese, Tende Combalatane, and Tadu Debu Sanje to Brest, Sherdwa.
So the passage which we are reading, third passage on page 8, What is the Dharma? Dharma is the eightfold path of the noble ones: right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This eightfold path of the noble ones, combined with the attainment of its results and nirvana, is what the Bhagavan has called the Dharma. So here, what the Dharma, see, whoever sees the dependent origination will see the Dharma, and then whoever sees the Dharma will reap the benefit. Will reap two kinds of benefit. One is the transcendental benefit, and the other is the inferior benefit. Transcendental and the ordinary, the inferior benefit. Inferior benefit means common benefit. Common benefit and the transcendental benefit. Common benefit is that with the practice of the Eightfold Noble Paths, one will achieve nirvana, personal liberation, nirvana. So that is a common benefit. And the transcendental benefit, uncommon or the transcendental benefit is, as the Buddha indicated, that whoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha, meaning that one will achieve Buddhahood, one will achieve the state of Buddhahood. So that state of Buddhahood is referred to as the transcendental and the attainment. So this, through this practice of the Eightfold Noble Paths, one is able to eventually one is able to acquire attain all the positive qualities, and one is able to get rid of all the mental defilements. That the state of the perfection and the state of the total elimination of the mental defilements or demerits. So that is the state of Buddhahood, the transcendental, the results.
Showdown from so to the one all the calculation. Don't remember the tell attention they were John conscious now in them. The children of attention they were John the country so the ship of Chavo rest the ship.
No.
Don't attention they were John. Then come a cheat of Shana said.
No.
Not in the margin with the cousins but the castle. Oh, she soon so said. Never. Geshe attention they were John said. Dibato.
No.
Because attention they were John showed us Kangata, Tambar Maduba. Tambar Neva, Tambar Maduba. In attention they were John Sando, Shashi Nova, Tambani Manda Kone. Taxi Chashi to the devil attend the collega, she has it to do time to do new at the shower. In a round to do a man. Man, the she Chashi to do charge it, Tavi Charge, Shagu Yordo. The third number Majuja, Tension Dever Joa Sandu Coachashi Joa, saw in the map of Maimba, or teach the shape of the Songo, Tamani Mendacon.
Yes.
Don't them the Bajanja corner, Cheveton, Calaton, Kagi members of the Chandos, no. Near Chemi the Kagaton, no. Or they church, Kagi members of the Sunday, Tension Dever Jonia, the one you to me, Chachi, Random of Kanga Devuji Chachi, or Tisam Tangudo. So attention they were Joa Sandu Chashi from there. Round it to buy Mende, Tombata, attending Niga Samata, what I say. Get on any Chebe Talamato, Garsa Tabetala Mato, I say, that's a tiny that eating, come to the station.
So then it talks about, the next line talks about who is the Bhagavan Buddha. A Buddha, so-called because of comprehending all Dharma, is endowed with the wisdom eye of the noble ones and the body of Dharma, and thus perceives the Dharma of those still in the training, those beyond training. How does one see dependent arising? On this point, the Bhagavan has said, one who sees dependent arising as constant without life force, devoid of life force. True. So this is all talking about how there is things come into existence only by dependence on other factors. Nothing really independent exists. Then the next paragraph reads, why is it called dependent arising? It is called dependent arising because it is causal and the conditional are not non-causal and non-conditional. Okay, in this regard, as we discussed earlier, understanding dependent origination will help us to get rid of the misconception of seeing things as permanent, and will also help us to get rid of the misconception of things to be independent and real. And instead, we see that the things, there's nothing really independently there. terms of being, but dependence on the parts, but dependence on the constituencies there. And yet it is not that things don't exist. Things do exist, but nothing really from the independently of its own, by in and of itself. So in short, nothing really exists as an independent entity. So the independence is rejected. Meanwhile, one should be able to posit the functionality of the things. So the tendency is that when we reflect on the emptiness of independent existence, some people tend to deny. Some people tend to defy the concept of the two truths. So, while we reject any degree of independence, we should not be doing that. We should not be doing that by defying the two truths. Instead, we should reject the independence within the context of accepting the two truths. So, the point is that there's the emptiness side, and that there's the dependent origination side. So by seeing the emptiness, you should be able to reject the independence. By seeing the dependent origination, you should be able to posit the functionality. So with these two things, we're able to reject two extremes. Only then we can have this healthy understanding of dependent origination.
Meba Juda Kenda Cheval Chai Sata Dinama Karishik Dosana Teji Devil John Chenny Sum the Chenny Nasa Shesma Tina Neko Juda Cheval Choi Chenny Seti Shivdo Gumi Kembal Kemebal Teni Kigmarese Judan Cheval Teni Kigres Dizako Juda Teni Kibasonda Midawada Dumawada Damevala Sobo Tizonga Negrese Tete Sumwa Korang Chunire Rangere Tutugudes, Sanje Chunda de Jiden come to China, Savan de Chesha, Tindeke Maris, Jiden come to China, Sanje no Chaya Major, Chinam de Chini, Teji Devil Jua Chute, they don't never corner rest this Ogudwa.
The same paragraph, page 9, the second paragraph, which reads, why is it called dependent arising? It is called dependent arising because it is causal and conditional, not non-causal and non-conditional. Here, out of the 5 characteristics of dependent origination indicated in this text, it is mentioning the need for the cause. In other words, that the dependent, that the composite phenomena, they need to have the causes as the factor for their arising. So with this understanding, it will lead to the understanding of impermanence, suffering nature, and the selfless nature, so forth. And these realities, the reality of how things they exist simply through dependent origination, dependent arising, or dependent origination, and because of which realization of the impermanence, suffering, selfless, and so forth, this is not something what the Buddha dictated. And these are the things which pre-existed. We existed pre-Buddha, meaning that Buddha simply discovered these realities. It's not that these are what the Buddha dictated or what the Buddha invented.
Kunyelese, Kudachese, the Nyelin Kora Red, Kipsikoda, Monduruk. Kenda dress, Dance Lutelia, Sabin de Nyelese, Telia, Sudan Luda, Trade, Shell, Sobatezo, Tenji Nico Yata. The hotel is a comidaba, Tuma, Kujim, Tuma, Mangol, Sobal, Tenike, or the essay, Midaba to make the show the Sheldua. The Yesuta, the Chili detention driver, Kudan de Order, the Samuel and Yugustinian, the Shelda, Nugulan Damasa, Tishera. Tenda Jordes, it didn't know what the Ma Yugudua. What did you function? Teaching the devil in the Lumba Duba Jurosa. Tell us Samuel, the Otiba, the chief function. You they can't let you set the door. No,
this is out.
Okay, so the
Tatanda ko devo na mashe to karshe do sana. Juda ken chi mo wo de shi na ko sa chu me lo joa te zo la te shi de ni ko ke ko de si ti she do. Angara zo na ge ka sa yin na ko na ge sa chu me lo ta bu cha lo do lu la cha da ji chu cha yo do de da she de te zo le te ne do gyo do. Ani chi sa chu me lo te zo la te ni tu bu de so do. Ti ke chen bu che so do. Da ngara zo sam de ngara zo so si ya tu te de ngara ge so bu che te sam ge ma to si shi bu ji le te ji de le ke sam gu me do. Da mo ne che da te de che da la de ge ma do. Lu ge tu sa am jo so bu ko ya chu de ma da de re du do me te sa. Don't do that. Chadran, so we can watch it. Because it was a Chadran, no one is shooting his turn, so we can watch it. She was serious, not lot of us. So go down the which you do your mother. And the Utana Kora, Tomba Kuyara, Namke comes to the Tonsa de Kuyardo, and the Satin Sa Kuyardo. There's a Kangal Turgeon, the Summers Theatre, the Kalasabi, or the Chatham says, Shimbundushim with the Sarge or mother. Mera is Masani Sidura, Toy Sidura. Tezu Kangal Turgeon, and so much Terriora. In a Mazo, this song of Medua, did the Chichitungus of Kalasa, Chinyam, the Chesavi, Church, Mother Medua, Tia Koti, Mambosotua. She is such a melon, Joa, the Zolitan, the incident, Chalores, Nagi Gaza, and Nagi Joa, such a melon, number Tonsa to Zol. Tonsa the Mena Utangura, Nalo the Tonsa Kuyata. And it Tamu the Chuda, the Kanga Kuda. Then Chili in the nine and the Joa, such a melon, number Tonsa. Tezoka Chawa Chese. Don't is not coming with it, Koyore, Chue, Koyore, Kanga Koyore, Tabas Kora, tell a ten Koran, I give your mother, Koran, when it's too time, Mara. Naraza did one Burjaki, the baby method that she to the Korania, time with Sorash Buddha. Could you not get so to the army or look to Johnson Latella? Look to Jins house, no Korea, or the Shida Nabi Samangarazo and Bin and Medavare said, Tezo Kanga Turch, Tate Sadi Chishi said also Chilo di Chisajumelo, Consatuya Wuko, Namshin Yambachi and Chidio Masido, Adimone, the general Yaman Sedato, Sajumelo, you want to Kanga Station de Odes, Buganam Bandri, long letter with a say, what did this of I think I was Sembliana. Also, there's a declaration by Masajumelo congregation, when you want to the creation by Jama to the creation by Koran, some Kongura, so much a terry Chagrin Sasa, Migatoyan score, I'm just seeking a science score, a 2 score, Tezuya, which a man of Sotumara, or Tin the contention leverage on the Yamsam Tambina. Michizo Regina Cochichi Tante, or Tavisa Nashira, Chigi Rocochi, the Shichi Leto, one is in Campachi or Tondo Tokyo or a test, Coco and Shichi and Mugochi Omar. Some times in a Chizo Honat, Chichi and Tetankerich, Chichi the Congress. Nichi joined the Congress, or they was some Cotona. And then Mida was said, Kashe Shanaku was in the sea. Dunya, the Kashe said, Chilia, the Mother Meadow. They said the tomatoes, she your mother, Yabushi, you know, the share of Mars. And then you share it, and to share it, and to do it. Then Drama does a mother say, you are on your share, to do it, and it makes it miserable. Kashi take a cardiacal gazette, Medadanga Kazato, do it, you are. Today, you can your receiver to menu. The thing drama do the Gaziciana, social laboration, does it all makes it tangle your mara. Suji Casara, Namdina Liora, Casa. Ocean Dave Ram of Tiba Maris, social letter, Numovi Tilumberto. Then social Navayora, near some drummers in Mikela to the party, what should do Toma and the Sasha Tiba Shabum Jena, near some drag your mara, Latin touches are social Navayora, Shenako Samara, or the thing you turned up. Namjina Medavas and again left us one, sometimes Nami Nako, Teziranga, which is much covered with the Siordo. Oh, Tinder Gigi, the Kanga Chichi, the Turkish, then Messi, I was a gay Lagudua, some Tonda Lagudua. some of the Tangore is teaching the social there, the Mita, said, there's Marakan Mando, this is also.
So we are running the late. So the summary that is given to us is that the external world or the internal world of sentience, external world, we see that it is made of the 5 elements: element of earth, water, fire, air, and space. And nothing really exists in this external world independently. They should necessarily come into being by dependence on these 5 elements. Likewise, the internal world of sentience, like ourselves, we're also made of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, and space. For example, say the one. This is reality. When we think of ourselves, we see ourselves as so independently real. And when we say, for example, like taking tea or eating food, we say that, oh, we are going for a lunch, we are going for a lunch party, the party or whatever. In actuality, it's just for survival. Because if we don't eat, then we can't really survive. But we think that as well, like there's some very independent person there, and these are all like luxuries. In actuality, these are not luxuries. These are things without which we cannot really survive, because we are dependent originated by dependence on the 5 elements. And the earth, for example, a body, and the water, for example, like the blood which is being the flowing within the body. Say if there's the end of the fire, the heat. If there's excess heat, again we cannot survive. Because people die of heat stroke. And then if the heat is not there, again people cannot survive. Because, for example, in America, there's the constant announcement made through the state television, saying that okay, today you should not be going out for too long, because the fluid that you have in the body, they will freeze. So which means that you'll die. So we see that we are so fragile. We are just so fragile because that we are not independent in the air. We just exist by dependence on the 5 elements. The moment these 5 elements they go imbalance, then we cannot survive. So this is reality. So with this, the message and the teaching that we are getting from here, taught by the Buddha, is the teaching on dependent origination, how things come to being by dependence. For example, say for the external world, today nowadays we frequently talk about the global warming. So how, say, the everything is connected, that we should be taking care of the carbon emissions, so forth. So this is all the message, the teaching of the Buddha, as to how that nothing's really there independently. Things are all interconnected. Things exist by only dependence on each other. And likewise, it also teaches us how to lead a very harmonious family life within a family, within a community, how we should live harmoniously. So what we discussed earlier of the impermanence, knowing that we are all impermanent. I'm going to die, and my family members, they're also going to die. If you know this, if you know the reality of the impermanence, then inevitably, one will feel the value of being together. So instead of fighting, instead of unnecessarily creating problems on our family members, we will feel the value of being together. So how long are we going to be together? So this time is so precious. The moment the impermanence hits us or strikes us, then this moment will no more be existent. So we will no more experience this moment. So this moment is so precious. So while we're being together, why not we live happily? Why not we help each other? So this is an incredible great factor. This learning, this experience of the impermanence is so precious for us to lead a very harmoniously within a community. So with the even with the external world, we talk about, we see the need of the importance to see the importance of the need to see the importance of the vegetation and so forth. And so in the West, usually people say that in the West, better don't talk too much about impermanence, don't talk too much about suffering. So our teacher says that he does teach on impermanence and suffering, because it's not saying that this is the reality of impermanence, this is the reality of suffering, and then somebody's going to force you into suffering. This is not the connotation. The reality is reality. The thing is that whether you go into this direction or go to happiness, that is in your hand. So if you know what the suffering is, then you will learn how not to drive yourself in suffering, how to evade from suffering by engaging in the virtues. So by, for example, say in Pramanavartika, the text by Acharya Dharmakirti, there he very clearly indicated that the samsara, the miseries, there's nobody who is forcing you to drive into the suffering, the state of the suffering of the lower realms. It's only your own act of the non-virtuous actions that will drive you into the suffering state. So if you, by knowing that this is the reality of suffering and these are the causes of suffering, and then have a sense of conscientiousness to embrace only the virtues, 10 virtues, refrain from 10 non-virtuous actions, nobody can force you into the lower realms or the suffering state. You will unwittingly or inevitably or invariably you will take birth in the higher states. So this is the benefits. So in short, all this teaching on impermanence, dependent origin, so forth, it is to let us experience, to let us know how to lead a very harmonious life, and to be beneficial for yourself and for others. So, in other words, how to lead a happy life. This is the final message for us from this teaching on the dependent origination. Okay. So we will, what we do is that we will do the end teaching prayer, and then after this, as I said earlier, everybody will be presented with the. Okay, on behalf of all of us here, we have Tenzin Shodona, the Secretary of Tibet House, will make the thank you offering to our teacher Venerable Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, and all of us we will have the opportunity to receive his blessings later on. And okay, so let us as for the dedication. As for the dedication, we have Tenzin Hatun there who's going to do the. You want to do it? Okay. So the 2-day teaching and extremely precious teaching, how to really lead a very meaningful life, and to understand the concept of the essence, the message of the teaching contained in the essence of dependent origin mantra, Ye Dharma mantra. So very clearly elucidated by our venerable teacher, Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche. We are so fortunate, and let us all pray that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth, that His Holiness His Holiness lives a very long life, very healthy long life, and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. And let us also dedicate that our teacher Venerable Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, they live long for us, and they continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for us and for all the dear sentient beings. To shed the light of the wisdom, the light of compassion for all the beings. And let us also dedicate the merits gathered, that all these great learning centers, such as Gandhin, Sera, Depung, and the the monastic institutions, and the great learning centers of Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma, Gelug, and all the traditions. And let us also dedicate merits that thus gathered, that this message of dependent origination, the emptiness and compassion, through our own concerted effort, we be able to serve as a beacon of the teaching or the wisdom of emptiness and compassion for all human sentient beings. And may this light of the bodhicitta, the light of the bodhicitta, which cherishes others more than oneself, the aspiration to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, may this light of the emptiness, the wisdom of emptiness, and on the basis of the understanding of interdependence of ones and others, may these two lights flourish in the minds of all demon sentient beings, so that the darkness of self-grasping ignorance and the self-centered attitude are eradicated, and they experience the boundless happiness eternally. May the teaching on bodhicitta emptiness flourish and thrive in all 10 directions in amongst all demon sentient beings. Okay, with that in mind, let us recite the intention prayer.
Please turn to page number 28. Additional dedication prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good, all-powerful Chandisik Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appear in the 3 times, so that I may perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Choju Sencho Rinpoche Mage Bana Ge Gyuche Ge Wanya Ba Me Paya Kone Kondu Varsho. May the Supreme Bodhicitta that does not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exceptions into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teachings and realization. May I in all life, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. By the power of the practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path of a union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the snowlands. You are the lotus holder, Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my life, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages and the paths may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Arya Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and teachings on dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Thank you.
Okay, so the people will quickly come in queue to receive the blessings. Quickly.
derin zihniyet genel derin genel 도중 전화제가 이게 뭐라는 게 있어도 무슨 저렇게 손
That is one. Viva. Not so sure. Different spot. What? That.
어떻게 해서 지었나 별로.